Guys, you know that feeling you get in the morning after a big night out? Because our friends at Zbiotics are here to help. Zbiotics, pre-alcohol probiotic drink, is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. Invented by PhD scientists, designed to tackle tough mornings the night after drinking. Here's how this works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct that goes to your gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol creates an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Zbiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly. Zbiotics pre-alcohol is perfect for those who always have their health in mind and are looking to master the balance of work and play. So I want you to level up your recovery, and I want you to do it today. I'll get you 15% off your first order at checkout. All you got to do is click on the link in the description. Plus, Zbiotics offers a 100% money-back guarantee. If you are not satisfied for any reason, they will refund all of your money, no questions asked. Have you heard of a little ma and pa organization, a little startup called ESPN, located in the small town of Bristol, Connecticut? Have you heard of these guys? They're pretty good with sports. They're pretty good with getting information about sports around. ESPN, it's called. You should look into it. ESPN countered. They had a counterclaim to something I said. Now, I don't think you got to put on your Columbo rain jacket to realize who's likely to be holding up the short end of the stick on this side of the equation. It's likely me. But I would like to discuss it because I did very good due diligence. And by the way, I did it in writing. So I go to Gabriel. And Gabriel Checo, good friend of mine, but is on the absolute inner circle with Charles Oliveira. Like when Charles wins and he's celebrating in the cage, you got the 4 or 5 people in there. Gabriel's one of those 4 or 5. Fight could be anywhere in the world. I mean, he is the inner circle, and he's got hold of me from the beginning of time. Told me, Chael, you're wrong about this Charles guy. You're wrong. He's special. He's elite. All right. Well, eventually Gabriel did win me over. I saw a fight with Charles. I saw it up close. I was right at the cage. Believe it or not, it was a fight that Charles lost, but I saw it. That was the night, his fight with Sarukian. That's the night that I saw, yeah, man, this guy is not just another fighter. This guy is special, and he's got special abilities. But when I got on board with Charles, now I wanted to get some information, and there was something that was going around right when Ilia Touria came up, because the odd part about Ilia Touria dropping the strap at 145 and Lopez Volkanovski getting announced, my own partners at DraftKings had a line out for this fight, but there was no announcement and there was no line, not even a mythical one. And DraftKings will put out hypothetical lines. They did not even put out a hypothetical line at the time of this story for Ilia Touria versus Islam. The UFC did not put out a rumor of Ilia versus Islam. Islam did not put a tweet out welcoming Ilia. Ilia did put a tweet out about wanting Islam as though he was campaigning for it. Very clear that there had been no backdoor deal done. What in the hell's going on here? Is it even possible to have an undefeated world champion whose next fight is not for a world championship? Like, could that even be done? All right. Then you start to hear some of these rumors about Ramadan. And Ramadan, I don't know a ton about, but I'm learning a lot about. And one thing about it, it's still religious, which means it's still off limits. Like it's one of those. There's landmines as soon as you start talking about he can do that, or some guys with Ramadan, or this Muslim guy did. And you got to just stay the hell away from it, right? Okay. So with that in mind, if Ilia is not going to fight Islam, it is very important to know that. And there could be, you think, well, why wouldn't it be? Well, let me just give you an example. If we're just sitting around guessing without information, one of the great sins at the UFC is to walk away from the belt. It is viewed as an insult. Many years ago, BJ Penn sat across a courtroom in Clark County from Dana White. And they ended up making up, but Dana White was very upset that BJ walked away from his belt. Those were the words that he used. He walked away from my belt. I remember when Dana said that. We were looking at it going, interesting perspective. I mean, it was the UFC belt, there was an organization's belt. I didn't really look at it. And when he made that statement, he walked away from my belt. That was way back in 2005, 2006, guys. And I remember it to this day because Dana was letting us in on how he views it. So could it be? Could it be that Touria, who is a star, who will make up, who will be given big opportunities, is not getting the immediate title shot out of anger? Because there's a little emotion, there's a little anger involved as to why Arman Tsarukyan is not getting the title shot. So could it be? And if it be, would it be reasonable that we accept the road to the belt, therefore, would go through Ilia Touria? Could we believe if Ilia was not to be given the title shot and he gets another match, whoever this other match is, should they beat the undefeated world champion, they would then get the belt? Yes, I think so. So I went to Checo to ask Charles, would you fight Ilia Touria? And Gabriel went to a manager. So now we brought in somebody else. So now you got a few different languages. But Gabriel told me Charles will fight Ilia, no problem, as long as Ilia brings the belt. If Ilia is the world champion, if he can find a way to go get a hold of Islam, get his hand, or whatever, you bring the belt and you'll bring Charles. But Charles isn't going to fight him without the belt. And I just remember thinking, hey, I'm not understanding this right. Like I'm reading the words, but there's no way that that's what they were meant to say. So I clarified it. And I was told in clarification, no, that is the deal. Charles is the number one contender. Ilia is the one moving up. Charles is the one that deserves things here. So Charles will not fight Ilia for a number one contenders fight, but if Ilia could find a way to the belt, he could find his way to Charles. I was assured that I was understanding it correctly. And this little ma and pa organization puts out a different quote saying that Chael was incorrect and that Charles is ready to welcome Ilia right now. I gotta tell you, who's right or who's wrong, what's lost in translation, I couldn't possibly care less. Gabriel tried his best to help me get a scoop. He went to Charles, he went to a manager, he came back to me while he was living his life and doing his things. I'm at the Ultimate Fighter, destroying and humiliating, ridiculing into oblivion Daniel Cormier. Like, we both had enough going on that there's enough room for something to be misunderstood, but I do think that it is very exciting news that Charles is now, at least through this ma and pa organization known as ESPN, almost campaigning to get the fight with Ilia. Not only do I really want to see Charles versus Ilia versus Islam is a completely different fight if Ilia beats Charles first. Ilia versus Islam right now, and I know there's some nut huggers out there that just think that's the biggest fight. It's not. The biggest fight of 2025 will be Jones versus Aspinall. So any other fight that you're doing, you need to beat that fight. You want to be number one. There's no reason to make a fight if you know it can't be number one. Can we agree on that? Particularly champions. You would have a legitimate shot at becoming number one. You'd have a legitimate shot of beating the Knight of Business, Aspinall Jones, if you got Touria one fight first. Not to mention, there's only one dude in the world, and he sits on Fight Island, that wants to see Oliveira fight Islam. One dude. It's not even Charles or Charles's team. Literally nobody wants that fight, but it would be different if Charles was to beat up Ilia Touria first. It would be a very different offering. And if ESPN is right, if Charles is open to and actually lobbying for an opportunity with Ilia, this could have something to do with Ramadan. Could be why Islam, our champion, is left out of the conversation. If those pieces could play and you could work the calendar out just right, from a business perspective, it is better to have Ilia do one fight. Right now we're talking about Charles, but Ilia versus Sarukian, it's the same thing. If Ilia beats Sarukian, and then you got a poster of Ilia and Islam, it's very different. If Sarukian beats Touria, and then you have a poster of Sarukian and Islam, it is very different. And now, as of right now, as of the latest tweet coming out of Connecticut, it looks like that's not just different, it looks like it's the direction most possible.